To G for G here on YouTube. I'm your host, Napalm Dawn. Today we're in Marvel Future Fight, and the background music is this, Space Travel, a synthwave mix. A link will be in the description, as usual. So, today I wanted to do a video for you guys. It's one along the lines of something I've been thinking of for a while. I've just been trying to get the time to do it, and today was kind of a perfect day to do it because one of my challenges is to do world boss clears. So, a member of my alliance has been saying for a long time now, eventually you get to the point where you can just manhandle bosses even on an emulator. And I had always said to him, well, you know, when it comes to doing Alliance battle and it comes to doing world bosses, I like to do it on my tablet, or at least a phone, so that I have full control over the characters. And I said, you know, that takes a little bit of time to do, whereas a lot of other stuff in MFF, you can just run on an emulator, let it autoplay, blah blah blah. Well, now that the dailies have changed, things have mixed up highly, whereas world bosses used to be kind of an afterthought, especially if you're kind of fairly well established and didn't need anything from them. Now it is sometimes a necessity. So that piece of advice that he gave was correct, and it definitely has happened, and I just wanted to go ahead and show you guys what it's like to have some teams that manhandle a boss and can do it on an emulator basically just by spamming buttons. Now, granted, this is going to be a Proxima day, but that's why this video is aimed a little bit more at mid to beginners when it comes to players and the really advanced people who are probably not going to be ridiculously surprised by anything in this video or say, hey, you know, Proxima's such a pushover, anybody can do that. Let's see you do that on Infinity Thanos. Yeah, Infinity Thanos, I'm still definitely doing on touchscreens. Now, regular Thanos, however, I can kind of get away with just throwing certain teams at him, even on an emulator. Does anybody else think this looks like kind of a Wonder Woman belt? And there's something I want to point out over here. This little space in the clouds over here, this little nebula of gases over here still looks like Hollow Man to me. I can't unsee this. See, here is like the white bandagey face, and here are the empty sockets where his eye holes are. It looks like Hollow Man to me, but alright. So let's get into the meat of the video, and that is by doing the world boss. So here's Proxima. I've done none of her today. I have a full 5 out of 5. And so one of the first interesting teams that I'm going to do is Sandy. Sandy is definitely capable of just doing brain dead spamming. Now, I'm going to go with Stripes and Spiders as his team. It's pretty good because of the physical attack and the crit damage. The movement speed's not necessary. Spider-Man and Captain America have a lot of really good team-ups outside of Sandy, so be very careful on this one. You can definitely team Spider-Man up with some of the symbiotes, and Captain America's got some other good ones that he or she, if you have Lady Cap, contributes to. Probably one of the best ways to go would be to get to a point where this Superior 6 is available to you. Unfortunately, my Doc Ock is definitely not ready. If there comes a time in the future where he is ready, then I would probably be favoring Superior 6 so that I can leave Captain and Spider-Man available for other teams. Sinister 6 #1 would also be another pretty decent one too. Getting Kraven up there and getting Doc Ock up there. But for now, we are going to go with Stripes and Spiders. And because this is a physical attack team, we will throw in some increased damage to supervillains and also some physical attacks like Rhino, Luke, etc. Now, this is how I walk the fine line between this being kind of a little bit of a raffle stomp and for beginners to do it, because beginners are definitely going to get aid from their strikers, and Proxima is one of the best assistant strikers early on when you first start doing world bosses. Hey, buddy. My cat Arthas has decided to come into the room, and he likes to announce his presence when he does that. Hey, bud. So, now, if you are definitely of a much higher level, you can do these without strikers whatsoever. It's not like they're consumed or anything, but... So this will not have any key bindings. This will just simply be spamming buttons and just straight up overpowering her. And while Sandy tends to be sometimes one of the slower ones, I mean, he's not going to pull in any 15-second, 30-second times. He's also, he's just pretty reliably consistent and usually does not get too banged up from these. And it's mostly that move over there, his 5, that does a pretty good job. The sand wheel does put him in a little bit of danger. However, it does do pretty decent amount of DPS. And of course, this is always the very dangerous area of Proxima right over here, is this tail end where she could just kind of go batshit in her damage. Okay, so there is one team just manhandling her in under a minute. So I'm going to do another one over here. This has been one of my favorites, which is Magneto, Cyclops. Now, you could go with Storm, but I like to go with... I think I passed him already. I always pass him. Wiccan. So this gives you diametrical leaders. So first of all, you have the increase to mutant allies, which is himself. Then he gets diametrical leaders from Cyclops, and he gets energy attack. And then from Wiccan, he gets Grandfather, so he gets all attacks. So he has energy defense, physical defense, plus attack, plus attack, plus attack, and then 6 stars. So we're combining diametrical leaders and Grandfather. And I'm going to do some similar strikers over here. And I like to throw in Doctor Strange whenever I'm dealing with energy attackers. Now, I like to prefer Wiccan on this one over Storm because it leaves Storm available for other mutant team-ups. The good thing about this one is this one kind of has a built-in oh shit plan. A tier 2 Cyclops can definitely hang by himself and do a good job. So if something happens that your Magneto does get knocked out, Psyche can do a pretty good job. As a matter of fact, I will try this one with Psyche, which is not something I usually do. But this move right here, I find this absolutely hysterical. He could just sit here and let it run. I mean, he basically acts as a turret, so let's try it again. I mean, it's just, you set it and forget it. Look at that. I mean, that's nuts. He just sits there and is immune. Wow. I think I might have to start separating out my Cyclops from my Magneto. I knew he was capable of that, but I never actually had him do it for an entire boss. And look at that. Fucking 20 seconds from a tier 2 Cyclops. Magneto didn't even do anything. Nuts. By the way, a tier 2 Magneto is a lot of fun on world bosses and even in alliance battles. It's a shame for alliance battles that Sharog and Doctor Strange come in higher for blast and male blast days. But Meg, that team that I just did is actually really good for blast days. It's nice for a little variety, a little spice. I'm gonna go ahead and do a Wolverine team over here. Now, this one's pretty ruffle stompy the way it is. I like to lead with Beast because of the physical attack. I then give him Wolverine. Now, what I like to do, and this one's a little odd, I mean, I could do something like Rogue, but Rogue just gives max hit points. But yeah, it does do critical damage up. What I like to do with my Wolverine is I like to throw Moon Girl in there. Because of the critical well, actually, it's the same thing. It's critical damage up and max hit points up. I mean, it is pretty much the same thing as Rogue, just it's a different stack. However, the critical damage is 0.1 higher over here. And it just, you know, it gives Moon Girl something to do. Which usually does not happen very often. So, we're going to avoid Doctor Strange. And we're going to get a physical attack. This one is about as a pushover as you would expect it to be. And this is likely one of the most brain dead ones that you could do, where you could just mash buttons and not even have to control movement whatsoever. Alright, so when they drop in, cancel the cinematic, immediately get over to Wolverine. I mean, Wolverine, even in Proxima's little end phase over there, is pretty much going to be invincible. He just gets in her face, and that's it. It's over that quick. Coming in at just 5 seconds better than Cyclops. Now, I'm going to eschew things with Ancient One and Doctor Strange and Enchantress. I mean, they're all exactly how you think they would be. I'm going to throw a little bit of a monkey wrench in here and go backwards in time to a team or a setup that I used to use and obviously haven't used in quite some time because so many better things have come around. Now, you could go with Women of S.H.I.E.L.D. This one is pretty good because of the cooldown duration. Secret Between Friends, I've always liked for Songbird. That's Quake and Songbird because attack speed is really, really good for Songbird. I mean, she's just a jet fighter. She just sits there and... I mean, she doesn't even almost need to do her abilities because she attacks like crazy. So attack speed's really good for her. Eventually, this new Avengers team should be pretty good. My Squirrel Girl is kind of lacking here. My Falcon is lacking. Although I don't think I would really pick Taking to the Skies as a good one. Birds of a Feather would be good. Songbird and Hawkeye. I would love to get that one eventually and combine Birds of a Feather along with Secret Between Friends. Now, taking Mockingbird out gets rid of the Blonde Women. The Blonde Women is a team-up that centers around Miss Marvel and a few others. So let me find her here. So I'll show you this one. The Blonde Women is one of my favorites. Actually, I'm sorry, it's not Mockingbird, it's Agent 13. So I think I will come around and do this one next. For now, let's try and give Songbird a little love. And if you're doing Songbird, what you want to do is you want to have Quake lead. Because I think her leadership is just a little bit better with the physical shield over there. and Quake and Songbird, and now we'll find Mockingbird. So there we go. Secret between friends, Women of Shield, Physical Shield. We'll set the leadership ones. We'll skip Doctor Strange over here and go for another energy attacker. Just because we don't want to cheese this one too much and have him come in for a big time stop. We'll use another plus damage to supervillains. So this one may fail. I haven't used this one in a while. And I actually don't think I've used this one ever because my Mockingbird was too low to count. She's up there now. I always used to use Songbird with Quake and then just somebody else. This one is a little bit more noob accessible. You've probably had Mockingbird growing with you a little bit. Songbird is definitely one of the first new Avengers you should tier 2. People wrote her off a little bit in the beginning when she first dropped, but then they came around and realized she's actually pretty decent. And Quake is definitely a blaster that you want to get up there, so... Alright, first thing we do with Songbird is we get the shield, and then we get her AoE that goes out. So basically, with her 5, she pulses AoE. No matter what she's doing, it just comes off of her naturally. And you might remember that mine move, the thing that looks like air mines, that was also in Marvel Avengers Alliance. So yeah, unfortunately, she required a little bit of help and movement. She got plowed. So this one's not quite as emulator friendly as I had hoped. I think it would actually work if you were controlling it and moved Songbird along a little bit. This one's probably going to be a failure. Yeah. Okay, so that one was close. If I was piloting Songbird and maybe got to her a little quicker rather than doing a few moves with Quake in the beginning, that might have worked. So we'll get rid of them. We will pick up Miss Marvel. And we'll go with the blonde women. So now this one is kind of noob friendly because Miss Marvel as a tier 2 in this outfit is pretty easy to use. Enchantress is also very, very easy to use. She's one of the ones, along with Doctor Strange, that kind of breaks the game. Her mind control ability screws up bosses pretty easily. And she's capable of doing what some guides call a face tank, where you don't have to be super, super skilled to pull it off. You just have to be able to play, you know, a medium level. Miss Marvel does everything in this team up, but it is nice that Enchantress is there for backup. First thing you want to do is the 4, then the 5, and just basically keep up the 4 as much as possible. If you know your 5 is about ready to come up, you may want to get out of the action a little bit and kite, because you want to hold your 4 into the 5. She's actually who I use for Universal Hero Day, because my Universal Heroes is not very good. She tends to live all the way through it, but the score is not the best. Universal Hero Day is really supposed to kind of be for Odin, and my Odin is not developed, although I've heard that David and Satana do pretty well, and Black Bolt Medusa pretty well. So there she is, full hit points. She did a pretty good job. 48 seconds. Pretty solid number. Anything under a minute is really good. Now, since this will be my last time of fighting her, I'll tell you about some of the other teams that I like to use on bosses, even though you're only going to get to see one of them, but I like to do, and this is also good for Speed Day, Elsa leading for Kid Kaiju. And then if it is Speed Day, you want to pick up Speed Wong. If it's not Speed Day and you're doing a world boss, you could add Groot to this, but I like to add Amadeus Cho. So, physical attack, crit damage up, ignore defense, max hit points, movement speed, energy defense, cooldown duration, physical defense, and all 6 stars. This is a very, very good team. It has an insurance policy that if your Kid Kaiju falls down, your Elsa is very capable of doing it all by herself. So this has some depth to it. Another team that I've come to really enjoy lately has been the Symbiote team. So I do Agent Venom, Carnage, and Anti-Venom. So we get plus 30 to physical attack. We get physical attack. We get all attack. We get 6 stars. This is a fun team up. And honestly, I mean, this team is really hard to beat in anything because all 3 people are definitely capable of all holding their own over here. I mean, 2 of these people could die and the 3rd one could still do a really, really good job. Carnage obviously has been solo capable for a while. Agvi's been solo capable. And a tier 2 Anti-Venom, if you give him the right sets and the right obelisk, he heals so much, he's pretty invincible. Not Wolverine invincible, but still pretty invincible. A team that I have not used for a little while, but is good for face tanking, is a Yellow Jacket based team. And Team Pym, this was a very original grouping. This is very, very classic, these 3 over here. It was slow to build for me because my Goliath was really lagging behind my Pym and my YJ. This has only somewhat recently been available to me, like I would say in the last 2 months or so. If you wanted to build, so Yellow Jacket's kind of a glass cannon. If you gave him Deathlock and Carnage, you would give him all the sustain he needs to do a really good job. I've also done Yellow Jacket with Iron Man several times and done Trainwreck and It's Just Business together for the attack speed and the all attack. That's what I used to do with Yellow Jacket. Another pretty decent one, Hela, when you T2 her, she's not a priority, but she is fun when she's T2'd. She's sort of like a Clea, but with a little more durability and a little more time on her cooldowns. Clea, everything comes up very fast with Clea. And she's very glass cannon-ish, and you just have to keep on top of your cooldowns. Hela is a little bit more forgiving and a little bit more noob-friendly. I often like to combine Father-Daughter Outing and Soul of the Thunderer because you're gonna get a bonus from Loki and Thor together also. If I am not blind and find my Loki over here, why am I missing my Loki? There he is. So you get energy attack, movement speed, crit rate, energy attack, attack speed. This is a fun combination over here. It kind of sneaks up on you because it's Hela Loki, Hela Thor, and then Loki Thor. We'll go with this one to end the video, and then we'll just talk about 1 or 2 more. And this one also has some depth to Loki, Lady Loki, Floki, as some people call him, her, is definitely capable of standing on Loki's own 2 feet. And it's probably one of the earliest characters you would use against a Proxima. Times are changing now, and with Sharog being around, that's probably who most newbies are gonna go for, but it used to be like Loki was one of the earliest recommended people. So we're gonna do this one completely with Helia. And the first thing you want to do is her 3, which gets her out of danger and gets the clones. Then you want to go a 5. You want to go a 4. Hit the striker. 3 is definitely like her get out of jail free. Her 3 and her 5 are all very good because they take her up in the air. Her 1 and her 2 are the dangerous ones because they leave her kind of grounded, and you gotta hope that whatever you're attacking is attracted to your clones. I believe it's her 1 that does the reduction in defenses, so it is kind of a pretty crucial ability. As you can see, I mean, she's getting plowed, but she's holding her own pretty well. If you were using her in full control with movement and everything, you want to do like a 3-5-4 and then kind of kite around a little bit. If you can get in the ability that does the decrease in defenses from behind and not grab aggro from your clones, it's pretty good. So that's a fun team. I like to use that one a lot. I sometimes even use that in Alliance Conquest. I need to figure out which one. I always forget if it's the Night Sword Stab or which is the one that does... Ah, it is. Okay. So, Night Sword Stab, by the way, Night Sword reminds me of Gafgarian from Final Fantasy Tactics. I know that, like, I have the image burned in my brain of that, like, the field or the map going dark and that kind of sword just pouring out from that animation, and then just up comes a stab. But yeah, so Night Sword Stab is the one that decreases all resistances, so I like to do Merciless Queen because of the illusions. And then honestly it should be Merciless Queen into Night Sword Stab, and then Night Sword's Glow, and Goddess of Death. She's pretty handy. So there you go, guys. There's some of my Proxima kill teams, or I should say, some of my World Boss teams, including ones that can be done with just mashing buttons on an emulator, if your stats are pretty good. And that's about it. So the limited event is still going on for another 8 hours. So if you haven't reached your final goal yet of spending 10 million gold, do it. It's very easy to have gotten this done in an alliance because you could donate 1 million a day. And upgrading gear, upgrading ISOs, upgrading skills is also another good way to go. As a matter of fact, I have to check in and do my rogue for the day. Oh, I can't wait to tier 2 rogue so I can just be done with her and go on to somebody else already. Alright, there you go, guys. Hope you enjoyed the video. Hope I brought you some new teams over here. Coming up in the near future are going to be teams surrounding Absorbing Man and Titania. These two, when combined, are very, very good for physical attackers. You could just bring those two, and then any other physical attacker. Like, you could bring Wolverine and have the pairing of these two over here, and it's pretty good. Hope you enjoyed everything. See you later, everybody.